Okay, in today's video we're going to show you how to make a C60 Fullerene, otherwise known as a buckyball. The C60 Fullerene has the surface topology similar to a soccer ball. It has 20 hexagons, 12 pentagons, very symmetric in its overall topology. We're going to make a soccer ball or a buckyball today, a C60 Fullerene, using 10 260 balloons. What we're going to do is make 10 identical pieces, and then at the end we're going to weave this together to make the actual C60 Fullerene. What you're going to do is take your Qualitex red pump. You're going to inflate the 260 balloon with 5 pumps. It's going to leave about a 4-inch tail at the end, 4 inches uninflated. You burp it a little bit to let air out and tie this off. What we're going to do is make 11 3.5-inch bubbles. And the key to this, in terms of having its overall symmetry being as perfect as possible, is trying to make all of these bubbles the same size. So measuring with my fingers, that's a 4-finger bubble. That's about a 3.5-inch bubble. I'm going to make one bubble. One of the tricks I do to make sure that all of this stuff is fairly uniform is measure all the bubbles relative to the first bubble that you twist. So the second bubble, you fold this over, pinch off about the same size, and twist. The third bubble, you're going to bring this over, pinch and twist. The fourth bubble, bring it down, same size, pinch and twist. The fifth bubble, measuring that against the first bubble. Give this a squeeze to push some air down, pinch and twist. And finally, the sixth bubble, we're going to pinch and twist. You take the nozzle end, the knot end of the balloon, you're going to twist that into that last joint. That makes now a 6-membered ring for your first hexagon. We're going to make 5 more bubbles and then fuse these at one side, so it makes a decalid-like structure. Again, I measure against all the bubbles that I've made so far. So this again, squeeze a little bit to force air down. 1, 2, 3, 4. You're not going to have much balloon left once you get down to the end of this balloon. There's our 4th bubble. Finally, our 5th bubble. Notice there's not a whole lot left. We simply pinch that, trying to make that the same size as the previous bubbles we twisted. There's our 5 additional bubbles. We're going to fold that in now and lock this into the joint adjacent to where you tied in your knot. To complete this, we carefully deflate the remainder of the balloon. We're going to tie that off so we don't lose any air. And this makes a structure similar to decalin. 11 bubbles, it's 2 fused 6-membered rings. A decalin-like structure. You do this 9 more times. So we have 10 pieces. Also, try to keep your knots on the same side. This is the back side. We're going to hide our knots by keeping those on the inside of our buckyball. Okay. So, we take our additional pieces that we've made. I'll first get 4 more, so we have 5 on the table. What we're going to do is, with all these 10 pieces, let's just bring all 10 over here. With these 10 pieces, we have made 20 hexagons. A soccer ball or a buckyball has 20 hexagons and 12 pentagons. Okay. What we're going to do is weave these pieces together In the process of weaving these pieces together, we're going to make the pentagon spaces. Okay? So we take our first 5. We're going to bring these 2 pieces in like so that we have, we're going to fuse these 2 6-member rings together. We're going to start the first part of our pentagon. We're going to lock these 2 bubbles into place and twist. So now we have, and we keep all the knots on the same side, so we can hide those knots at the end. This is the first ring juncture. Now we're going to continue on forming the inner pentagon by coming to the next side. So we're going to have a pentagon in the center. We're going to have 5 of these pieces surrounding it, and every joint in the pentagon will have a double bubble at that ring juncture. So the next piece is going to go in like so. So now you can see we've formed the bottom of our pentagon. We're simply twisting these bubbles together, locking those together by twisting. Now we have 3 pieces together. We continue on to the next adjacent side. We're going to bring this piece in like this. Locking those 2 bubbles together and twisting to lock those permanently in place. And now, notice sometimes they come apart. You can easily just twist that back together to reestablish the bubble, keeping the knots to the back. 1, 2, 3, 4. Here's our 5th piece, and notice as we put this in, we're first going to tie it off as we've done. Locking those 2 bubbles in place. And twisting to cement those in place. Again, if bubbles come apart, just twist those back, no big deal. And now, to close the ring off, notice we've made our first pentagon, which is the top of our buckyball. Twist those bubbles together. And notice that this is naturally starting to form a dome-like structure. You can see now this is the first half of our buckyball. And it's a very symmetric piece. This is our initial pentagon. All the holes between the hexagons are going to be pentagons. So again, we'll set aside the first piece. Also, when making this, make sure you keep all the knots to the inside, to the back, so that we can hide those at the end by keeping those inside the ball. Again, we take 1 piece, we're going to fuse together. Notice it's a ring, single side, then a fusion. So we simply take those 2 bubbles, lock those together and twist. So that they're now in place. This is going to be our other, the opposite side of our buckyballs. This is our other regular pentagon we're forming. Again, we're going to lock this in place by piecing these pieces together. Again, if the piece comes undone, you just simply twist it. Twist those bubbles in place as well. We just now have 2 more pieces to go. We're going to bring this in like this. So there's always an almost formed pentagon here at every position. Wrap around now, just like the previous piece. locking those bubbles in place. Twist those around. And finally, our fifth and last piece of the second half. We're going to bring this into play. We're going to lock these pieces together at the joints and twist around, lock those in place. And finally, we close off this ring. So now we have our second dome-shaped piece with the pentagon at the top. We're locking this in place. And we now have our second half of our C60 buckyball, or C60 Fullerene. What we're going to do is we're going to lie this flat with the knots all facing up. So we're going to lay this on the table. We're going to bring back our other piece, the second half of our ball. And think of those hexagon rings as tabs. You're going to fit this together so that the tab on the top piece lies in between two hexagons on the bottom piece. As you do that, you're going to find, as you bring this up, what we're going to do now, every time we twist this together, is we're going to form a new pentagon. Okay. So again, treat this as a tab. This actually sits between two hexagons. I'm going to fold this in, locking those two bubbles together and twisting. We're now going to take this piece and do the same thing. So what we're creating, we've created the 20 hexagons. Essentially, we're creating the pentagons in the void space as we twist this together. So you just made a new pentagon. Whoops. There we go. If you make a mistake, that's easy to fix. Just untwist it. The key to the process is making sure you always form a new pentagon, five-sided regular polygon. Now we're going to come back over to this side. Let's see. The opposite side. We're going to lock the opposite side in place. So there'll be one more tab left to do over here, two more on that side. As we bring this up, we're going to find the bubbles that make us another, in this case, another pentagon. So we lock those two bubbles in place. Then we bring this up. 1, 2, 3, 4. Let's do this one. That should be pentagon. Yeah, it's easy to get confused. Don't worry. Just twist this, untwist it. The key thing to always remember is we're making pentagons. So there's another pentagon. Now the ball is starting to take shape. Notice that it naturally starts to adopt a spherical shape as we start piecing this together. We have one more tab insertion on this side to do. So we find the pentagon shape on this side. Push that in place. Notice then there's one more side over here. Lo and behold, that forms a pentagon. And now we just have two more to do. Notice the ball is actually starting to come together very nicely. As you go around the balloon, try to keep all your knots to the inside. Just twist those back to the inside of the balloon. That just keeps things very neat. Hides all of your busy work. We have two more ring junctures left. Again, the key here is to make 5-numbered rings. So we're going to take this one and twist that together to lock it in place. This is our 5th side. We're going to twist these two bubbles together and lock this in place. Again, every time what we're trying to do is create a new pentagon. So the pentagons are formed by twisting the hexagons together. We're creating the holes in space that are the pentagons. We now have one final ring juncture, one final closure left. As you see, we line this up, that makes our final pentagon. And finally, our last closure. Bring these two bubbles together. We're going to form two pentagons simultaneously. Bringing these bubbles together. Notice that one of our ends got loose, no problem. We simply find where that's supposed to go. We twist that back in carefully. And then twist the knots to the back. This has now created a C60 Fullerene, or a buckyball. Again, because of the nature of the balloons, they tend to try to minimize the repulsive nature of the bubbles. It naturally adopts a spherical shape. Once you've gotten to this point, there's not much you have to do to shape this. The main thing is to make this neat. Make sure your knots are always tucked into the inside. With 3.5-inch bubbles in 260 balloons, using 10 260 balloons, this is about an 18-inch diameter buckyball. If you use Battalitech's 360 balloons, 20 360 balloons will give you a 42-inch diameter buckyball. The largest buckyball I've ever made was using 90 Battalitech 660 balloons. Those are 60 inches long. Using 90 Battalitech 660 balloons, we made a buckyball 13.5 feet in diameter. We did that for National Chemistry Week. So again, you can see this is very symmetric and it's very easy to put together. People will come up and ask, how do you do that? Because they don't understand we're invoking symmetry. The fact that this is so highly symmetric, we've broken the process down into various pieces we can make ahead of time that we can weave together to make the overall structure. So we're taking advantage of the symmetry of the buckyball by making all 20 hexagons first. We create the pentagons, we create these void pentagons by weaving together each of the pieces in sequence. So again, you make 10 decalin-like structures, which are 2 fused 6-membered rings. Divide those into groups of 5. You make each half of the buckyball, then lay one half on top of the other. Think of those like tabs going into slots. try to find any place or anywhere you can make any pentagon. That's where you, as you can see with the double bubbles, that's where you've actually twisted those hexagons together to create the void ring in space. You can make these any color. Traditionally for organic chemistry, we make these out of black because this is a carbon structure. For soccer games, I've made these in school colors. Tennessee Tech is purple and gold, so I've made purple and gold buckyballs, which are also soccer balls. If you want to make a soccer ball, you can take a second color and make 12 pentagons in a different color and carefully weave those into the structure. At every position, you find a pentagon. But again, this is the buckyball, highly symmetric, very easy to make. It will amaze people because they think it's such a complicated thing to do. But once they learn the secret, which is taking advantage of symmetry, you can see it doesn't take very much time to create this particular structure. And that's all there is to it.